Who are you? My name is Golgo 13.
Hello everyone, it's Zakes and welcome to my character appraisal of Duke Togo, if that's even his real name, also known as Golgo 13 from the anime of the same name. I shall analyze his major characteristics and give him a very subjective letter grade at the end that does not reflect my analysis content necessarily, just my very opinionated view of him overall. Just before I start, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more character appraisals and top 5 lists. Also, you may support me on my Patreon page as well if you care to do so, link in the description. With that being said, let's begin.
Understood. I'll do it.
Golgo 13 is an action thriller anime about the titular assassin whose life we see through an episodic structure where he does what he does best: killing people. We see the story from different perspectives of his breadwinning exploits, from preparation to the deed itself, with obstacles and consequences thrown in, including run-ins with the law. Sometimes we even see his downtime being explored, if you can even call it that, because someone usually dies while he's on vacation. We also see him play, based on the client and target, the role of hero, anti-hero, and of course, villain. His feelings, on the other hand, are for viewers to discern for themselves. This is quite literal considering that he only ever has one expression, making him the definition of RBF. His personality and character are ones that are gleaned from all episodes considered holistically. We see his habits and principles playing out in a plethora of scenarios that give small but powerful character building tidbits that keep viewers guessing throughout the series. Whoops, now getting carried away there. Let me now just get into the actual analysis. Golgo is uncompromising in his ways and principles, and boy are there so many to follow. Just to give a few examples, he never takes on 2 clients at the same time, and it's not even the highest bidder. It is first come, first serve. And of course, he will not even let anyone walk up behind him, lest they die for it or at least get a broken jaw. He is the apex of professionalism, and once a job is taken, he will not stop until it is done. All of these are ways of survival and speak to his experience and dedication to his work. You buy his services, the Golgo 13 experience as it were, but the man himself simply cannot be bought, it seems, whether by money or threats. Hence I say, uncompromising and principled. The type of client he takes on does not matter, but he only takes jobs where the client gives him a reason that moves him to accept it. He will not take flimsy, half-hearted assignments either, as he only agrees to those that have a personal investment by the client.
I don't need moral justification to perform a job. Just tell me the real reason you want to hire me for the job. Feels like there's more of a personal motive for you in killing this guy.
The high amount of money he charges or accepts seems to also show his value for life. While it is true that taking a life is never condonable, his placing such a high price in preparation to his work suggests that he does not take lives lightly, and he also wants his client to understand this as well. The great thing about asking his client's motivations is that it keeps the episodic nature of the story sustainable and ever thrilling as we see the background of those affected by his actions. This makes me think that he looks for clients that have faith in him and are less likely to hinder or betray him. He could also be empathizing with the client in the sense that if they show enough determination and grit, he will be able to do the same while on the job. It seems to me that he manages to combine his aloof and objective nature with the client's deep passion and determination, which is reflected in how he executes his work. It's like he acts as a well-equipped and prepared medium in order to grant their wishes, or he could be seen as a god of death who thrives on their prayers and fulfilling them. On the other side of the coin, he may want to know their deepest motivation, perhaps to hold as insurance against their potential betrayal, and it's all just a very cautious failsafe that affords him more protection. I am quite sure that with his very rigid personality, it would be easy to put it down to his being set in his ways and being stale or something like that, but the truth is that there is genius behind his habits, which are understandable in his line of work.
My thanks. I don't trust anyone quite enough to give them my arm. That's why I don't shake hands either. No offense.
Someone that efficient and perfect at his job does not live long on being sloppy and emotional. He simply cannot afford to be relenting, and I am sure he has learnt his lesson more than once, with his numerous scars a seeming testament to this position. All these factors considered means that he does not leave his life to chance and trust, and that his overabundance of caution and precaution makes sure he is safe. I would even hazard to say that it actually shows that he values life more than anybody else in a way, because he selfishly clings on to his own.
I wouldn't have pegged you for a baseball fan.
From here, it's easy to tell if a sniper lies in wait.
So let me not hear anyone say that he is completely devoid of empathy, even if you really have to dig deep to find it.
What? How could a man like that ever feel debt or gratitude? He's a rat who only does things for money.
I did just mention his scars, but I would like to add that they are also proof of his experience and that he is human and does make the consequential missteps. They show he is physically vulnerable and not quite so perfect, making him a character you can relate to as far as the possibility of physical harm and danger goes. Everything else about him is just goals for the rest of us.
A toast to your splendid body. I'll drink to that.
Okay, down boy. Moving on, I think it is safe to say that he enjoys the infamy of his exploits and the challenge of doing a job people deem to be impossible and the prestige pulling it off will come with. This can be discerned from the fact that he accepts work that his clients believe only Golgo 13 can pull off, which in context can only be seen as a miracle.
There's only one person we can think of who can pull off a kind of perfect 1 in a million shot we're after, and that would be you, Mr. Togo. Or perhaps I should say, Mr. Golgo 13.
It's obvious he has a very deliberate image he has created for himself, what with his moniker and only taking actions that improve the brand name that is Golgo 13. But his accomplishments don't get to his head and makes me think that he may compartmentalize his personalities, namely Duke Togo and Golgo 13, even though the differences are only on the surface. No split personalities here. Now, I know I called him an assassin, but Golgo is actually a gun for hire, meaning he will do anything for you if his gun can do it.
Snakes, dogs, humans. All leave corpses. They're all the same to me.
He goes above and beyond to meet his clients' requirements. His interpretation of their orders is very straightforward, even if he may express disdain for the reasons given in his own way. About his sniping skills, I will say only this. Death may need to retire cause Golgo 13 has it all covered. He is very intelligent and capable of complex calculations on the fly, which can be seen from some of the crazy distances and conditions he shoots under, and the angles are just insane.
Shooting out the tire of a high-speed car that kicks up the desert sand and not leave a trace is something that only you could do.
If I had watched him before I had made my top 5 snipers list, then he would be my all-time number 1 with everyone else trailing after him by the widest margin. His skills are not even beyond the realm of reality because he prepares and researches for each job like an Olympian. By viewing his preparation process and knowing his work ethic, our suspension of disbelief is kept intact, even though it is stretched to its limit. His actions can never be viewed as implausible, at least not to someone with no knowledge about guns or physics like myself. He also has unbelievable investigative skills which he uses to get to the heart of any job and pull it off in such a way that his client is left satisfied, though they may have felt it was touch and go for a moment. There are so many episodes where you believe that he is catching feelings, but he still does his job. This makes me wonder how he copes with the pressure of his work. He appears to have no empathy once contracted and will not shy away from a job simply because of the target, be it a man, woman, animal, other assassins, and even inanimate objects. It's all the same to him.
Simply sending a hairpin flying out of a little old lady's hair is worth money.
If you get in his way, then consider yourself dead. Witness his work, you're dead. Hold a gun to him, dead. Break his rules, dead. Lie to him, dead. Walk up behind him, well, a sock, but dead is a possibility. Because of all this, many characters who made the same career choice as he did believe that they are like him, that he abandoned his humanity in order to kill people.
I don't believe it. He can't have a human heart. He's me. He's the same as me.
Yet he manages to defy this based on the very rare but pronounced moments that demonstrate his human heart and very deep and profound philosophies about life.
Pride is admirable, but if pride is taken too far, it becomes bitter arrogance.
The police and other government agencies the world over seem to have his number, be it as a suspect or a potential hire. He has no allegiance to a particular country, only himself and his work. He seems to always have an escape plan or to have preparation for all eventualities. The fact that he chooses to do the impossible makes a case against him very difficult to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
And choosing this ridiculously far place as his shooting point, he'd already placed himself outside the scope of viable suspects.
Thus, he is a thorn in the side of justice seekers and flies in the face of the law itself, as his feats are a loophole to any fair legal system. I do find it a bit far-fetched that the anime makes it seem like the law is always followed to a T in terms of the treatment of a suspect. Where are the corrupt officers and judges? The only time it seems corruption works is only in his favor, or when it is not really life-threatening. But let me leave this point alone, or else I will start to ramble like a braying zebra. A relevant question to ask though would be if he is overpowered and too perfect. In my opinion, his anti-hero position and the fact that he prepares so much for a job gives me the impression that he is just human enough to be convincingly down to earth. The point that he always looks over his shoulder and distrusts people tells me that he has a fear of death and wants to live.
The fear of death. And the fear of death is the only thing that keeps us from danger. So long as you fear death, you can stay among the living.
This really lends him an organic mortality which is believable. I think if you really think hard on it, the anime is really pushing forward masculinity, which may be interpreted both in a good light and a bad one.
Unfortunately, I don't know what you're talking about.
On the good side, the relevance of masculinity is not an issue due to Golgo's apathetic disposition, which appears not to be pushing a machoism agenda. On the bad side, I get the feeling that the anime, even though not explicitly stating it, seems to be out to impress a certain demographic that may be seen as seeking perfect masculinity that would rub other demographics the wrong way. I think as my final point, I shall talk about something no one is interested in: Golgo's sex life. From the get-go, let me tell you that he is a walking thirst trap that gets women hot and bothered and usually leaves them naked and trembling in bed. And no kids, it's not the cold. He must also enjoy it because he does it so many times with so many different women. But you wouldn't think that it was consensual because throughout the act, his face never changes. Not even a slight twitch to indicate that anything is going on for him. Because of this, I end up thinking that he is just fulfilling a bodily need he has in order to function properly. But then this lady says this.
I've never felt anything like that. I'll cancel the rest of my clients, so please just...
And then this one says this.
Oh, jeez. I'm kind of losing my self-confidence here. Last night's customer wouldn't come when he was on top of me either.
Does this mean that he is not doing it for the pleasure or release of pent-up sexual energy? The reason I am so hung up on this is that it gives credence to the argument that Golgo 13 as an anime is trying to push forward machoism by thrusting, the idea on the audience that he is just so irresistible and turns every woman out just because he is that awesome while he has no investment in it whatsoever. But then there's this. Meaning that he does reach the big O. Does this mean that he is more complex in his feelings and sex life than I am giving him credit for? Does this mean that Golgo's being as good with his trouser pistol as he is with any other firearm is a good thing? I don't know anymore. Let's move on to concluding this video. Due to his complexity, it was impossible to highlight all his characteristics as there are so many interesting ones that intertwine together. He is truly a character who provokes much thought, who deserves an A+.
It's finished. The assignment's done.
In fact, he is in my all-time favorite Hall of Fame. Now that I have proven that I would have his babies, what letter grade would you have given him? Respond in the comments down below. And that's my video on Golgo 13. Thank you for watching, and I hope you like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel for more character appraisals. And please don't forget 1,000 subscribers is the aim for now. Requests and suggestions for future videos are always welcome. Until the next video, I am Zakes and take care.
The airport. Let's go.